All right, welcome back to The Explainer. Today, we are diving headfirst into the first 12 episodes of a ridiculously addictive Nigerian romance drama. We're going to break down exactly how storytellers build tension, how they totally manipulate classic tropes, and how they manage to keep us completely hooked from the very first frame. Honestly, if you've ever found yourself wondering why certain romance plots are just impossible to look away from, well, this is The Explainer for you.
So, let's set the scene with our inciting incident. What actually happens when a Lagos waitress accidentally dumps an entire tray of food onto a wealthy American billionaire? It's your classic meet cute, right? A total staple of the romance genre. But in this story, that simple spill acts as the springboard that kicks off this wild roller coaster of cultural clashes, a super rapid courtship, and eventually some seriously dangerous escalating threats. It is literally the perfect recipe for dramatic storytelling.
Okay, so let's get into part one, the catalyst, or as we know it, the meet cute.
Our protagonist here is Jessica, a waitress in Lagos who is just trying to get through a highly stressful shift. She accidentally bumps a chair and sends food flying right onto the immaculate suit of Ethan, this wealthy American businessman. But instead of throwing a fit, Ethan delivers this incredibly charming line, "Well, that's one way to welcome someone to Nigeria." It's such a brilliant disarming tactic by the writers. It immediately establishes him as patient and intrigued rather than arrogant, which instantly draws both Jessica and us, the audience, right in. And from that initial spilled tray on day one, the narrative just takes off. Just look at this timeline. We move super quickly from that disarming reaction to him giving her rides in a rainstorm in week 1, right into some heavy cultural integration by week 3. I mean, we get these incredibly wholesome, entertaining moments where Ethan, this super wealthy foreigner, is learning how to haggle for a 30,000 naira item in a bustling Nigerian open market just to impress Jessica's family. It does a fantastic job of highlighting their massive class and cultural differences while proving he's genuinely willing to bridge that gap.
But of course, it can't stay perfect forever. Enter part 2, internal threat, the jealous friend.
You know, a totally happy couple is great in real life, but it makes for absolutely terrible television. The very first obstacle thrown at our couple doesn't come from some cartoonish supervillain, it comes directly from inside Jessica's inner circle. Enter her best friend Linda. The writers know exactly what they're doing here. Betrayal cuts so much deeper when it's from someone you actually trust. And the dramatic juxtaposition they use is just brilliant. On one hand, you have Jessica's blossoming fairy tale, which is peaceful, respectful, and built on mutual trust. On the other hand, you have Linda's highly toxic, financially draining relationship with her boyfriend. Linda is constantly demanding money he doesn't have, and her resentment is just boiling over. So when she sees Jessica seemingly strike gold with a billionaire, her own dissatisfaction morphs instantly into targeted, bitter jealousy.
Driven by that pure jealousy, Linda decides to flat-out sabotage her best friend. Out of nowhere, she receives this mysterious old photo of Ethan holding another woman. Now, a good friend might, ask for some context, but Linda immediately weaponizes it. She delivers this highly dramatic, perfectly scripted warning to Jessica, and her entire goal is just to plant a destructive seed of doubt.
This crucial moment is summed up perfectly by Linda herself. She says, "Ask him what happened in America. By the time I'm done, Jessica will never trust him." This rhetorical hook is an absolute masterclass in pacing. In a split second, it pivots us from a sweet romance into a suspenseful mystery. It introduces this nagging idea that Ethan is hiding some dark past, perfectly setting up the next major narrative conflict and leaving us desperate for answers.
Which brings us to part 3, External Threat 1, the X.
So, the past refuses to stay hidden, right? Ethan's American ex-girlfriend, Sophia, the actual woman from the photograph, unexpectedly shows up in Lagos. Suddenly, Jessica's nice, localized fairy tale is totally invaded by Ethan's complicated international history. But how Ethan handles this is what makes it so fascinating. Instead of dragging out that tired, dramatic love triangle trope where the guy sneaks around, Ethan completely subverts our expectations. Step 1, complete transparency. He literally invites his ex and his current girlfriend to sit down at the exact same dinner table. Step 2, he disarms the tension by just openly acknowledging how terrible and awkward the whole situation is. And step 3, honest closure. Sophia surprisingly gives them her blessing, pointing out how happy Jessica makes him. They literally flip the entire trope on its head.
But here's the catch. That is exactly what the writers want us to feel. A false sense of security. Just when our couple thinks they've found peace and finally navigated the whole ex-girlfriend drama, the story turns the dial straight up to 10.
Because if Sophia isn't the villain, who on earth is watching them from that menacing black SUV parked across the street? It's a masterful use of misdirection to sneak in the ultimate antagonist.
All right, Part 4, External Threat 2, Corporate Mind Games. We are officially moving out of standard romantic jealousy and stepping into a much, much darker arena. Enter Victor, Ethan's half-brother. And Victor brings an entirely new level of psychological and corporate warfare to the table. This is where the stakes jump from a broken heart to literally ruined lives. The contrast between these two brothers is pretty stark. Ethan Williams is just seeking peace. He specifically left America to escape his family's toxic wealth and get a fresh start in Nigeria. Victor Williams, on the flip side, is driven purely by money, power, and absolute control. He is Ethan's exact opposite, and he's been sent to drag his brother back to their dying father in America. And trust me, Victor does not care how he does it, even if he has to completely destroy Jessica in the process.
Victor doesn't do something as simple as attack directly with a confrontation. No, he wages a terrifying, calculated, psychological campaign against Jessica. His tactics are super insidious. He's the one parking that black SUV outside her home just to let her know she's being watched. He sends these ominous flowers with a creepy card saying some love stories never get a happy ending, but leaves no name. And worst of all, he files fake, anonymous HR complaints accusing Jessica of accepting bribes at the restaurant. He's actively trying to ruin her career and strip away her independence.
And right in the middle of all this chaos, Jessica's mother delivers this incredibly profound warning. She tells her, every human being hides something. The question is whether what he's hiding can destroy your future. I love this because it perfectly anchors these extreme, almost soap opera-level events to a deeply universal theme. It's all about the absolute vulnerability of trusting a new partner. Because when you merge your life with someone, you're also merging with their unhealed wounds, and sometimes their unresolved enemies. And that takes us to our final act, Part 5, the New York Cliffhanger. You know this psychological pressure cooker has to explode eventually. As Victor's manipulations really start to escalate, Ethan gets a devastating phone call that changes the trajectory of the entire story. His father's health has worsened rapidly. It's suddenly a matter of life and death, forcing an immediate emergency departure back to New York. Forced to choose between this new, peaceful life he's building with Jessica and his inescapable family duty, Ethan has absolutely no choice but to rush to the airport. He swears to Jessica that he's going to return for her, but this physical separation leaves her incredibly vulnerable.
And then, the writers drop a maddening narrative puzzle in our laps. Shortly after Ethan leaves, a mysterious envelope arrives for Jessica, and what's inside? A one-way plane ticket from Lagos to New York. But here's the kicker. There is absolutely no sender on the envelope. There is no romantic note attached. It is completely 100% anonymous.
So Jessica, who is understandably panicked and confused, immediately tries to call Ethan to ask if he sent it. But instead of hearing his voice, she gets a cold, automated message. The number you are trying to call is currently switched off. That disconnected line delivers just a heart-stopping cliffhanger. She's entirely cut off from the only person on Earth who can give her the answer.
Which leaves us with the ultimate question, and beautifully frames exactly why this genre of storytelling is so universally addictive. Is this plane ticket a grand romantic gesture from Ethan desperately wanting her by his side? Or is it Victor's final calculated trap to lure Jessica out of her home country so he can destroy her on his own turf in New York? We are left agonizing over whether this ticket is her bridge to a happy ending or a one-way flight into total ruin. So I gotta leave you with this to ponder. If an anonymous ticket to a foreign country showed up at your door right now, would you get on the plane?